Hi, this is Stuart Shumway. I'll be presenting at SUACON, a modified flip classroom. There was a shy boy in my math class who tested at the 4th percentile. He did no homework all year, but worked on a modified flip in class for 45 minutes each day and moved up to the 11th percentile. Another shy boy in the 57th percentile for freshman math was almost done with what was expected for an A by midterm of third quarter, and he, his mother, and I increased what was expected of him in order to earn an A by 25%. He moved up to the 61st percentile and has been cleared to move up to the honors class next year, all with very little work outside class. A girl in the 1st percentile spends a week in juvenile detention and returns ahead of the class. All three of these students were in the same class last year. These are just the beginning of success stories made possible by putting the student in the driver's seat of their own education. Maybe 30% of my students do not have easy access to the internet or a good place to study after school, so I took the idea of having video clips available for students online from the flip movement and modified it so that students can watch the video clips on computers at school. Conditional assignments in a learning management system called Moodle allow students that demonstrate mastery with a quiz score of 85% or greater to move on. A sheet for taking notes becomes available for printing, and the next video clip is accessible. A few math problems become accessible for printout. Partners have the answers to each other's problems that they can help each other with. A short online quiz checks for understanding and provides immediate feedback to the student. Misconceptions are not allowed to linger.
Mariah Black and Lanaya Begay.
And students spend as much time as they need on each topic. You may ask, but what if my school can't afford to have a computer for each student? 5 years ago, I saw the 5-year-old computers being replaced in a lab. I asked for permission to use them. I had the building tech create a dummy account we left logged on all day, since the older computers would take about 5 minutes to log on, for student profiles anyways. For several years, I just upgraded to the most recently discarded computers from a lab. Then, 2 years ago, I requested a RAM upgrade for my set of discarded computers and had a pretty decent classroom set of computers for about the cost of a single computer. This past year, the building tech money was spent on purchasing a classroom set of new computers for my room. I had been using UTIPs as a quick check at the end of each class period to check if it was time to move on to the next topic. I chose the criteria of 80% of the students scoring above 80% on the quiz, so often we left 20% of the students behind. But I didn't feel like we could spend any more time on the topic since 20% were already bored. I tried several methods of differentiation to meet the needs of more students than teaching to the middle of the class. None seemed to work very well. In past years, I have helped 80% of the students attain mastery solving systems of equations. This last year, with a modified flip, 100% of the students solved systems of equations. I feel like I can voice the quote on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. Here are a few examples that come to mind. A student was brought to school by the truant officer a month into the first quarter. No problem. I had a student miss class for a week for a vacation to Hawaii. No problem. 3 students missed 3 days of class for a volleyball tournament. No problem. Fourth quarter last year, I was curious about attendance and calculated an average of 15% absences. No problem. Before adopting a modified flip, all of those situations created some level of difficulty for me and the students. The first attempt last year of this modified flip was rewarded by good test results to pass on to parents. The average percentile of my students rose from the 32nd percentile to the 39th percentile. If the next 2 years go as well for these students, this group that was significantly below the national average will be above the national average. Students already equipped with motivation were able to do even better. Have you ever given instructions for some software program to a whole class? I find myself getting ahead of some students, and other students try to go ahead and get themselves into a bind. I now have video clips showing students how to use Excel and GeoGebra.org and SASCurriculumpathways.com. Students can pause the video clip and get caught up and then continue with the instructions, and my attention is used for more content-specific questions. I want to show you some free interactive software that helps students check their skills as they go, SASCurriculumpathways.com. It is free, but they ask that you create your own accounts. It can help with a wide range of topics, even Spanish, but I use it for providing feedback as students learn to graph. Graphing systems of linear inequalities is at the end of a week of increasingly difficult graphing tasks. Allowing students to attempt geometry constructions on their own has proven to be a very rewarding experience for students that find a way. It's very realistic in that most problems they will solve throughout their lives cannot be looked up in a manual. Students have different levels of endurance on these types of problems, so I used to cut up the activities short after about a third had found a way and began looking for something else to do. 1/3 had already quit trying, so the remaining third were shown how to do the construction before they had given up, cutting their learning experience short to go with what the majority of the class needed. Now I have video clips showing how to do the constructions so that each student decides when they want to throw in the towel. They are in charge. If one of the pieces of what works for my students sounds like it might be helpful for your students, I will be hosting a hands-on workshop at SUACON to give people a chance to explore these pieces with me on hand to assist and answer questions. It may be a good idea to bring a laptop computer, but we have a computer lab reserved as well. But sometimes there are limitations with guest accounts. So here's the pieces that I'll be presenting. I have video clips on all of these, so you can be doing whatever piece is interesting to you. Record with Smartboard or Screencast-O-Matic.com. Request a teacher account on Moodle from my host, Barry Fugre. Create an account in SASCurriculumpathways.com. Create an account as a student in my Secondary Math 1 course to see what students see as they go through a module. You could create an account in ACT Math Prep to see if that's something that you would like to use for your students or set up for your students. Use GeoGebra.org for geometric constructions. Create a calculated quiz question in Moodle and see if that's something that might be helpful to you in your classes. Anyways, if you're interested in any of those pieces, I'll see you at SUACON.